Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music of People and Journeys, new album reviews, Battle of the Bands! Woo-hoo! 2 albums to review today, and they are in the red corner. It's going to be a battle, believe it or not. Asking Alexandria, and in the blue corner, Dayseeker. So let me quickly explain how we're going to do this. We're going to I'll give you a little bit of synopsis about each of the bands, and then my wonderful panel of Ian, William, Simon, and Trish. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Will give us their thoughts. Give us their thoughts on how they enjoyed the album, and then at the end we're going to score them out of 5, and then which album we would potentially buy out of the 2. But each album will get rated. They'll still get into our potential top 100, get into our Hall of Fame. Who knows? So, in the red corner, let's introduce our first band, shall we? Asking Alexandria are a British rock band. Oh yes, hailing from York in North Yorkshire, consisting of guitarist Ben Bruce and Cameron Liddell, drummer James Cassell, lead vocalist Danny Warsnop, and bassist Sam Betley. Initially formed in 2006 by Ben Bruce, the band officially established at 6 pace in 2008, with the founding lineup consisting of Bruce, Warsnop, Cassell, Liddell, Lancaster, and Binns. And after the departure of Lancaster and Binns, as well as recruitment of bassist Sam Betley in 2009, the band released their debut album Stand Up and Scream. The band released 2 studio albums, Reckless and Relentless, and From Death to Destiny. Before departure of Warsnop in 2015, he was replaced by Dennis Stoff, and the band released The Black 2016, and Stoff departed. I mean, there's a lot of English outgoing here, isn't it, guys? Eh? And Stoff departed the band from October that year, and Warsnop subsequently returned to the band. Well, Stoff out, Warsnop's in. Crikey, guys, that's exhausting. The band released their self-titled 5th album in late 2017, which was Mark's stylistic departure from their previous work. Their 6th studio album, Like a House on Fire, which was released in 15th of May 2020, shows the group's continuity of more straightforward and melodic hard rock sound, while also shifting to different genres. Its follow-up and 7th studio album, See Them What's on the Inside, was released on the 1st of October in 2021. Now, I know that we have a bit of an Asking Alexandria fan, because we do a song contest, and somebody put one of their songs into our little competition, and that was, of course, the demigod that is Simon. I mean, Asking Alexandria, based on the little bits I've heard, I was looking forward to seeing this album. It's See What's Inside. And how did it look inside to you, mate?
Fashionable. Not sure. So obviously I've listened to Asking Alexandria before. I particularly like some of their older stuff, Alone in a Room and stuff like that, which is why I submitted to the contest. But for this album, they seem to have steered more into the hard rock, a little bit away from their sort of like their post-emo pop punk era, more into the hard rock. With the album, there are some absolute headbangers in there. Never Gonna Learn is a particular favourite of mine. But I will say I'm not enamored with all the songs from the album. Interestingly, obviously on Spotify, there's only the deluxe version. So do you kind of feel? Was the normal version on that? I could only get the deluxe version. So, that's my bad. If that's on there. So obviously I was listening to the collab songs and the acoustics as well, but I do feel like it's a bit bad to include those because they're not part of the album normally. But which is a shame, because I think the collab tracks are actually the better parts of the album because they're really good. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a good album. It was very, very enjoyable to listen to, very fun. But certainly none of it is going to make it onto my favourite playlist, unfortunately. Maybe Alone Again is all right as well. But even Never Gonna Learn hasn't made it onto my playlists. Just because it's not like it's bad. They've got a really beautiful sound going on with this sort of hard rock sound, but it just doesn't feel like it mixes it up enough throughout the album for me. And it just doesn't particularly shine. So it's good, but not great.
Oh, okay. Trish, Asking Alexandria. What about you? I mean, was this the hard rock sound that you love, or not?
Well, the album starts on a high point with Alone Again, which is a banger of a rocker, which has the sound of the band Ghost about it to me, with the guitar leading up to the vocals. Most of the album's lyrics are based in struggle with mental health, which a lot of bands have done recently to express this issue through music to help heal them. Having said this, I'm not always listening for extremely thought-provoking lyricism in albums. I'm looking for fun and tunes that grab me. I got lost halfway through this album and sort of switched off as it was a bit samey, which is a shame.
Ooh, Ian.
I really love this album. Really liked it. And I deliberately said love and like together because I can't decide which one it is. At one point, I love it. And other times I'm like, I really like this album. It's a good album. And I thought it's a great example of a good rock album. It's got everything you need in there. It's got the vocals, it's got the feeling, it's got some fantastic guitar riffs, some awesome drum work in there as well. I agree. On a side note, I too, like Simon, only listen to the deluxe version, and that's a mental note to myself to make sure I'm looking at the proper version, not the deluxe version. However, as we're reviewing the album itself, I would like to say have a listen to the deluxe album, because those acoustic versions are fantastic. But looking at the album itself, it was pounding. Would I go and see them live? This is a new category I've whacked in this year. Would I pay money to go and see the band live? Absolutely. I'd love to find out more about them, and I will probably add them to my rock albums I love because I want to learn more about them. And again, especially listening to what Simon's just said about their past, I'm really curious to see how they've evolved. I did find the only thing that if I was going to take an issue with it, the vocal becomes quite samey. There's not a huge amount of variety in the vocalist's voice. That's not to say it's bad, but I do like a little bit of variety, something different. But overall, I really, really loved and liked this album.
William.
Hello.
Talk to me. Hard rock, surely.
So much like Simon, I'm also a very big fan of Alexandria. I have a playlist of songs that I want to enter one day in a song contest. And the first song I added to it was an Alexandria song from the same album Simon is from. So, much like the others, so I only listened to the deluxe one for this, because as far as I was considered, the normal album came out in 2021, and this was a re-released deluxe one with the extras on, which came out the end of 2022.
Bad research.
So I listened to all of it because, as far as I was concerned, we're reviewing this one because it came out. Then the extras were the big part of it.
Oh dear.
I listened to the main album in 2021 when it came out because I'm quite a big fan. It was a bit lacking for me because I'm a big fan of their older stuff. Like the albums The Black and Asking Alexandria are two of my favourite albums, especially songs The Black, When the Lights Come On, the much sort of heavier, sort of raw kind of sounding stuff. I thought that, again, the album's fine. It's pretty good. Kind of like Simon said, some of my favourite parts were the songs featuring other artists, like Faded Out featuring Within Temptation is phenomenal. I love that song. The second I heard that one when they released a single earlier last year, I added it to two of my playlists because it's really good. The acoustics felt a bit lazy to me, the acoustic covers, because it sounded like they just took his vocal performance from the main song with some generic acoustic bits, not like they recorded a specific acoustic version of it. Because for me, listen to it, the vocals sound exactly the same, not like you'd expect someone normally doing, re-recording the vocals to fit properly with an acoustic sound, which seems a bit lazy to me. But it's enjoyable. It's good. Faded Out with Within Temptation is my favourite, specifically from the deluxe edition of it. But probably Alone Again from the base album is a standout again for me, but it's a pretty good album. It's nice, but I feel like a lot of the deluxe stuff is it's in there for the sake of being in there. They had these songs, so they thought, let's just shove it on the end of our last album, re-release it to do a bit more.
It's interesting, isn't it? And I apologise to my audience out there because we'd like to review new album, but it is a new album because I've never heard it before. So and I'm going along with Ian here because I liked this album and then I loved it and I loved it and I grew and I loved it even more, and then I sat on the fence going, do I love it? Do I like it? And then I went, and then how many songs do I put now? For me, if I put three great tracks onto my cool song list, onto my playlist, it's a great album. When you put 4, it's a fantastic album, and 4 tracks, and they are, if I could erase it, Miles Away, Find Myself and Fame, all made it to my cool playlist. Now, for me personally, when I look at a Hard Rock Cafe, the burger obviously, but a Hard Rock album is I want light and dark. I want darkness. I want heavy metal. I want heavy rock. I want it to pound me, and then I want it to lift me up with its melodic kind of rock melodies and tracks. And this album did all of that. Right at the beginning, it punched me, and then with some of the slower tracks, the ballads weren't cheesy kind of ballads. They were just really good hard rock kind of ballads, and I loved that, and I think there was, actually I disagree, I think maybe in his actual vocal, but it's certainly, and I think he did a couple of duets, I think there was a huge amount of variety in the musicality of this album, and I thought it was absolutely terrific. It would have got top marks. I'm not giving the game away, but I got bored of the acoustics. I love words. I love understanding the lyrics, and I am understanding those things. This is why I'm not particularly into things like foreign music, because I love to understand the words, and that's not me being languageist or it's just the way my brain kind of functions, really. So okay, so pretty positive overall, I think. Dayseeker's got a battle on their hands, or have they? So, stepping out of the blue corner, we have Dayseeker. Who are Dayseeker? They are an American post-hardcore band from Orange County, California, US of A, and the band is currently signed to Spine Farm Records. Dayseeker was formed in 2012 by vocalist Rory Rodriguez, guitarist Alex Polk, and Gino Zagambelururi, bassist Andrew Sharp, and drummer Mike Carl in Orange near San Diego, California. Rory and Alex were members in the band called Arms Like Yours before forming Dayseeker. The band released a series of demos including songs What It Means to Be Defeated, Collision, Survive and Resurrect, and were released on a debut album, as well as 2 untitled songs on July the 7th, 2013. The band was signed to Invogue Records, which released their debut album What It Means to Be Defeated in October 2013. It featured work by Joey Sturgis, who mastered the record, and on November 2014 the album was released. Tom Denny, a former guitarist of A Day to Remember, was involved in producing the re-release version of the album, and the reissue features 3 acoustic tracks. In November and December 2013, the band toured the USA in a 3-week tour, and in April and May, the band was part of the Artery Across the Nation tour, which featured Upon Drawing and the Browning in the lineup. Well, so this is their album, which is up against Asking Alexandria, and the album, of course, is called Dayseeker. So, so the band is called the name of the album is called Dark Sun. What am I talking about? There we go. Got those two mixed up. So Trish, let's start with you then. Had you heard of Dayseeker before? Is this a new band to you?
I'd not heard of them before, and so I googled them, and they came up as being classed as metalcore subgenre, which is a term that was also used to describe Bring Me the Horizon and the Architects. The album's first 3 songs, Dream State, first track with electronic sound to it, Neon Grave, and Without Me, deliver drums and guitars. This album's lyrics are all centred on the death of Rodriguez's father. The tail end of the album has a mix with Crying While You're Dancing and Parallel is powerful with lyrics like "I'm holding your hand, but it's losing its colour. I know you weren't ready to go," delivered with such sadness that it transports you to the moment. This album is okayish, though. It's not something I would normally head to musically for me if I wanted to listen to something, but it does have an edge about it.
Talking about edging, Ian, let's let's get your thoughts on Dayseeker.
Dayseeker. I'd not heard of Dayseeker before this. In fact, nearly all the albums we review are new to me. But interestingly, I'm finding that my Spotify playlist is throwing up more and more stuff now. So just by having it, I set the playlist up with all the albums and then listen to it throughout the month. And that just throws more and more stuff in. And I'm getting such a wide mix. And obviously, I love musicals as well. So I'm listening to more of that. And I love the way Spotify combines everything. So what I get from this podcast and doing this is another element of stuff that I wouldn't be factoring in otherwise. And even the stuff that I'm not a fan of, it throws up other stuff, which I do like. So and Dayseeker, I think, if I could choose something to throw at me, if I was Spotify, I would probably throw Dayseeker at me, to be fair. A very long-winded way of saying I liked it, isn't it? It wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me unless I took three sides of the square. Absolutely not. I'm sending it straight down. Great rock tunes with some wonderful melodic variety in there as well. I loved the vocals on this, and I felt I did ask myself, would I intentionally listen to this? As an album, not. Would I pay to go and see the concert? Yes, I would. Absolutely. But I think this album is more, you've got it on your playlist. When it comes on, you're like, you know what? I'm really glad this has come on. I'm keeping it on. I thought it had the power to be quite divisive on this, because quite a lot of the tracks are a hybrid of stuff, and particularly the last one, Typified Does the Best, it was a mix of Coldplay and Nickelback, both incredibly divisive artists in terms of rock. Some people love that thing, other people cannot stand it, but they are both very successful at what they do, very good at what they do. And particularly for me, Afterglow, that track really stood out. So yeah, absolutely love this album. Not something I would deliberately run to like Battle Beast to put on, but if it came on, I'd definitely keep it on and would enjoy it.
William, Dayseeker. I don't know, you're a night seeker rather than a day seeker, but I mean, you know,
this is true.
What did these do, guys, for you? Had you come across them before?
This is the first time I think it's the first time I've heard of them, because upon the first listen, I just started listening to Starset. To be honest, it has that same kind of like spacey kind of techno-y sound in the background of a lot of the music, which I quite liked. Although I'm a bit upset with this album because it teased me. So the second song, Neon Grave, I feel like Simon might know what I'm going for here. In the middle of the song, out of nowhere, there is a fucking brutal breakdown out of nowhere, which doesn't happen again. And I'm upset with them for doing this to me, because I want more of that. That's again just me, you know, slight bias towards heavier music, but that was fantastic. It was good music, kind of like what's been said already. I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to listen to this album, apart from just picking a song, Neon Grave, again. But I wouldn't necessarily skip all the songs if I heard them as they are, but as an album, it didn't really do it as much for me. Again, that's purely more of a genre bias to me. It's not mostly the kind of stuff I do like, but
it's what this show's about, isn't it? It's what resonates with you and what connects with you from that perspective. So, Simon, did Dayseeker connect for you, my friend?
This album caught me completely by surprise. I thought it was going to be sort of another very typical post-hardcore band, but wow, like the amount of sort of raw emotions and feelings on display just really caught me off guard. I personally loved a lot of the lyrics. I felt a lot of attachment to some of it. Some of them hitting quite close to home. I particularly like Neon Grave, Paper Heart, Parallel have all made it onto my personal playlists. Sort of following on from what Will said about, there's an absolutely disgusting breakdown in Neon Grave, which is beautiful, but they never repeat it, which is a real shame. And as much as I praise the lyrics and the singing, it does feel like the guitars and the drums fall a bit flat in several of the tracks, almost as if the band is just there as a backing track for the singer, which is a bit of a shame, because they're not bad. It's just lacking presence. But overall, I really enjoyed the album. It was a really nice surprise for me. I'm going to keep an eye out for anything else they do in future, because what they did here I think was particularly beautiful. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a funny one actually, because I was the opposite. I was going, oh God, really? When they had that breakdown, I'm going, oh God, really? This is going to be another one of those albums? Please, please, please. And then, surprisingly, nicely, they didn't have that breakdown for me, which was a bit of a saviour. This definitely had, and it's interesting how things connect to people. I didn't feel that connection as much as you guys did, and I like my lyrics, but maybe I need to go back and kind of listen to it again. And I give it 2 listens. What I liked about this album is that it had energy. There was definitely energy and power to it, and it was probably a little bit edgy for my likings in terms of the way that it kind of panned out. There wasn't enough light and shade in there for me, but it was a good album. I mean, a really good album. And I think, and it's really interesting. I go like, well, why didn't I absolutely love it? Because I did really like it, and I think actually, Simon, I think you there was something not quite connecting there for me, and I think maybe your analogy there about something that there was something missing that would take it up to that next level for me. But it was a really powerfully good album, really good album. I kind of enjoyed it really. So, you know what? I thought Asking Alexandria would potentially walk away with this bout, but I'm kind of sensing it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close. So let's find out, shall we? As we go to round 1, and we the battle of the newish albums. The newish albums. Let's find out your ratings. Simon, let's go to you first. Asking Alexandria.
3.5.
And Dayseeker.
Oh, I really wanted to give it the full marks, but I can't do it. 4.5.
4.5, Simon. Ding, ding, ding. Round 1 to Dayseeker. Round 1. Now that, as a fan of Asking Alexandria, is a real shock. It's a shock. It's an absolute shock. And Trish, let's go for Asking Alexandria.
2.5.
2.5. Oh, Trish, that's a shock. And Dayseeker.
3.
3. Oh my gosh, ding, 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 round 2 to Dayseeker. This is not happening. This surely cannot happen. Ian, Asking Alexandria, my friend.
Asking Alexandria scored 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Okay, and Dayseeker.
Dayseeker also scored 4, but with a half as well.
Really?
4.5 out of 5, yes.
Oh my word, I am in absolute shock and horror here. This cannot be happening. And William, Asking Alexandria.
I'd like to give it more, but I can't, in my right mind, give it more than a 3 with the with all the songs in the deluxe bits. They don't have enough there to let it be higher.
And Darks and Dayseeker.
3.5. the breakdown gives it that extra half.
This can't be happening. It's 4-0 to Dayseeker, and I'm going to buck the trend again. So I'm obviously polar opposites to you lot. We're on different pages because Asking Alexandria was, if it wasn't for the acoustics on this one, would have got a 5. I mean, it was an awesome album, but it got a 4.5 for me, and Dayseeker though got a solid 3.5 off me. So oh my god, I'm surprised by that. But well, let's tally them up. Just a reminder of people to get to Hall of Fame, they need a 20 to get into our top 20, and 19.5 to get top 30, 18, and so forth. So let's find out, shall we? We're going to do a quick tally up. So Asking Alexandria. So we'll go 7, 10, 13.5. 17.5. That gets you into our top 50 all-time albums, which is 17.5 is a really good score because we're, as you can see, we're quite pedantic here. And Dayseeker 3.5, 6.5, 9. Sorry, 6. I can't count, guys. 10, 14.5, 14.5, 19 people, 19. It was so close to Hall of Fame. It was so close to the top 20, but it's in our top 30 albums. That is a surprise. That is a surprise. But it is a very good album. For my opinion, not as good as Asking Alexandria, but 2 cracking albums here. 2 absolute cracking albums that have got there. And I don't know about you guys, but after the height of last year on our top 10 album show, check it out on YouTube, everybody. I've got to go. I'm a bit nervous about going. Oh, we're going to start all over again. Will we get there? And I think these 2 albums just show that there's great music out there, and it's going to keep coming, which is fantastic.
I think with these 2, I think I went to see Nightwish back in November, and Nightwish isn't the sort of band I would put on just to listen at home. Maybe if I'm doing a chore or something, it comes on and I listen to it. But live, oh my word, they were euphoric, they were amazing, they were just everything you want from a rock show. And these 2 fit perfectly into that completely. I think they'd be fantastic live.
Yeah.
But would you listen to it on the play? Probably not as much.
I think it was an interesting matchup as well. I think the matchup was a good matchup, really, and it's all about enjoyable. It's all about us enjoying new albums. But I was surprised, I've got to say, bearing in mind what I know of you lot and how you like your hard rock and stuff. I thought that you guys would actually storm that. But anyway, thank you very much. Well done to Dayseeker. And you know what? Well done to both bands, because we really enjoyed both albums. Dayseeker wins it. Dark Sun, check it out. We are harsh critics. We're not harsh critics, but we're harsh scorers because it's down to our personal taste. So these days, to get into to score 19 and to and by the way, Asking Alexandria will be in our top 50, but to get in our top 30 these days, and for the phrase so far, Dayton will be our top album of the year. Obviously, we've got more to come, a lot. But anyway, so tune in again for our Battle of New Albums-ish. And thank you very much for joining MPJ Album Reviews. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.